Let's welcome in our guest, former New York City Police Commissioner Bernard Kerik, Skyping in this morning from New Jersey. Bernie, a top official says Iran tried to extradite the gunman behind this attack in Sydney years ago. Yet somehow he was granted permanent residency, had been receiving welfare benefits for years. Could someone like this easily fall through those social service cracks here in the United States?
Yes, absolutely. And, this isn't nothing new. I've talked about this before. In fact, I've been writing about it since 2003 or 2004 when I came back from Iraq. It can happen. It's going to happen. We've seen a number of lone wolf attacks, if you will, in this country already. What happened here easily. And JD, there's one thing that people have to focus on today. There were more than 150 kids killed yesterday in Pakistan, and it's not even making top of the morning news today. We have become so accustomed to this stuff that it's almost secondary in nature, and it should not be.
You mentioned the news, the horrific attack in Pakistan, not even leading the news today. Bernie, in your opinion, have Americans become benumbed, or have they forgotten 9/11 and all you went through?
Well, what happens is, look, the further you get away from 9/11, the more people forget. I was at a dinner last night with some young men that are, they were 25, 29, 30, 35. They barely remember that time. And I think that's a big mistake for us. New York City has been, there have been 13 different attempted attacks since 9/11. Luckily, they've been thwarted, or we've come upon them in one way or another. Our intelligence is much better today than it was on September 10th of 2001. But the problem is somebody's going to slip through the cracks. And when they do, we're going to have incidents like we saw in Australia, or what happened in Pakistan, or, some of these things we've been seeing around the U.S. In the last few months.
Bernie, how do you weigh in light of the Sony hackers invoking the 9/11 after threatening to attack movie theaters here at home?
You know what, Francesca, nothing should be ruled out. Cybercrime, the hackers, the purpose of terrorism is to create mental anguish and havoc and fear, to instill fear in people. There's two things that these people want: death and destruction and economic collapse. Look, the targets on 9/11 were the two biggest economic symbols of our country. The World Trade Center. It was our military. It was going to be the White House or the Capitol. The problem is a lot of people in this country forget that. They don't realize it. But we've got to keep as much of our security presence out there, and we have to secure these cyber networks because I think that's going to be one of the next biggest goals for them.
Well, we've seen it in terms of pop culture now with the release of the movie, the threat from the Sony hackers, and a lot of theaters deciding not to premiere that film on Christmas Day, perhaps not to show it at all. If you were advising theaters, advising Sony, do you think they ought to pull this movie, Bernie? We've got about 30 seconds.
Honestly, JD, I don't know. I think I leave that up to them. These days, the freedom of speech, it's making me kind of crazy, really, with all the stuff that's going on around the country. But I think I'll leave that up to the theater people. I'm more worried about other things right now.
Fair enough, and there's certainly a whole lot of things with which we can all be concerned. Bernie Kerik, we're going to ask you to stay right there. When we come back, we're going to talk more about what transpired yesterday in Pakistan and what may await us all. America's Forum continues after this. Let's continue our conversation with Bernie Kerik, former New York City Police Commissioner. Also on your resume, of course, Bernie, during our early days in Iraq, you were Interior Minister dealing with that nation's security. We're going to draw on that experience, but first I want you to listen to what Senator John McCain had to say about the Taliban attack and our presence in the Middle East. Let's take a listen.
Gets worse, and also it's going to be a lot worse unless we leave a force behind rather than removing everybody from Afghanistan. We'll see the Iraq movie again, and you'll see the Taliban inflicting more of these kinds of heinous, outrageous attacks and murder and mayhem that they are capable of.
So that's Senator McCain's perspective. Bernie, do you agree?
Yeah, unfortunately, JD, I do agree. I think pulling all of our people out at the conclusion of some of this stuff is bad. For intelligence purposes, we should have people there for support, for training. These countries like Iraq and Afghanistan and some of the others, they need an enormous amount of support. And sometimes they just need to know that we're behind them, that somebody is behind them. And if they run into trouble, we're going to be there for them. When you pull completely out, it leaves them no hope, no support. And it really gives us no intelligence as to what's going on the inside. And that's a problem for us. I think we have to leave a contingent there to benefit us.
Bernie, is this school massacre a 9/11 moment or a Sandy Hook moment for Pakistan?
I think it's a combination of both. As I was looking through some of the photos this morning, I remember being in Mount Jordan in November of 2005, right after they bombed the 3 hotels there. It's the same picture in different places. Brutal, savage, human massacres by people that want the demise of freedom. And, whether it's Jordan, whether it's Pakistan, whether it's 9/11 and the Ground Zero, which was really the first battleground in this war, it's all the same. It's the same enemy. And people can't be surprised what happened in Pakistan, shouldn't be surprised what happened in Australia, and should not be surprised if and when it happens here again.
Bernie, by some estimates, Pakistan has seen over 50,000 people killed in terror attacks since 2011. Of course, it's where we found Osama bin Laden to take him out. There's always been a kind of push me, pull you with Pakistan. Does this event yesterday help solidify the relationship between the United States and that nation? About 30 seconds.
Well, one of the things that happens here, JD, in events like this, it's one thing when we're fighting a battle and people want to make decisions or opinions based on that, but when you start attacking their own people, then mindsets change. So I'm sure we're going to have a lot more insight from Pakistan in the future.
Well, Bernie Kerik, we appreciate your perspective. Obviously, your role as New York City Police Commissioner on that fateful day, September 11th, 2001, your subsequent involvement as the interim Interior Minister in Iraq, your knowledge of both Manhattan, the Mideast, and what may transpire, greatly appreciated. Coming back with the way I see it, right after this, as America's Forum continues here on Newsmax TV.